Embrace life's flow. The wisdom of Buddhism Zen story. Buddhism wisdom for inner peace. Welcome to today's journey into understanding one of the most powerful teachings of Buddhism, how to embrace the art of letting go. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt frustrated or anxious when things don't go your way, or when life throws curveballs that disrupt your plans? If you have, you're certainly not alone. We all have those moments of disappointment and resistance where it feels like we're trying to swim upstream, only to exhaust ourselves in the process. But what if I told you there's another way, a way that brings inner peace and a profound sense of freedom? Today, we're going to explore how to truly apply the principle of letting go and not forcing in your life. This idea, deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy, teaches us not to cling too tightly to expectations, and instead, to accept things as they come. You see, the real essence of letting go isn't about giving up or being indifferent, it's about releasing the tight grip we have on outcomes we think should happen, and learning to flow with life as it is. By the end of this video, I hope to show you that adopting this mindset can transform how you handle daily challenges, reduce your stress, and help you find a greater sense of calm, even in difficult situations. So, let's dive into this timeless lesson and discover how letting go can unlock a deeper, more peaceful way of living. Main principle: understanding letting go. When we talk about letting go in the context of Buddhist philosophy, it's essential to grasp what this truly means. Letting go is not simply forgetting or dismissing things as unimportant. It's not about passivity or indifference. In fact, letting go requires active awareness and profound acceptance. It is the practice of loosening our mental and emotional grip on expectations, desires, and the outcomes we believe we need to be happy or successful. In Buddhism, this act of letting go is central to finding freedom from suffering, as outlined in the teachings of the Dhammapada, one of the oldest collections of the Buddha's sayings. The text emphasizes that clinging and attachment are sources of pain. One verse from the Dhammapada that resonates deeply on this topic is, "From craving arises sorrow, from craving arises fear. For one who is free from craving, there is no sorrow, how then fear?" This teaching encapsulates the essence of why we must learn to release our attachment to outcomes, possessions, or ideas. It highlights that attachment binds us to suffering, and only by letting go can we experience true peace. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, a beloved figure known for bringing mindfulness and compassionate teachings to the world, often spoke about non-attachment in simple yet profound terms. He taught that letting go means to love and live without clinging. When we hold on too tightly, whether to people, things, or our expectations of how life should unfold, we create a tension within ourselves. Thich Nhat Hanh often used the analogy of holding sand in your hand. The tighter you grasp, the more it slips through your fingers. Letting go is akin to opening the palm, holding the sand gently so that it stays without resistance. It's also essential to understand that letting go is not the same as apathy. Apathy implies a lack of care or concern, a disengagement from life's experiences. Letting go, on the other hand, is a conscious release of the mental need to control or dictate outcomes. It's about participating fully in life, caring deeply, but not being enslaved by an expectation of how things should turn out. It's seeing the waves of emotions and thoughts come and go, yet not clinging to any single one as your identity. Think of this practice as learning to surf on the sea of your emotions and experiences. The waves can be high or low, smooth or stormy, but if you resist and try to hold the waves still, you'll be swept away. When you let go of trying to control the ocean, you begin to ride each wave as it comes, staying balanced and present in the moment. This principle invites us to shift our mindset from, "I must control this outcome to be happy," to, "I will do my best, and whatever happens, I will adapt and find peace within it." This practice may seem difficult at first because our society often equates success with constant striving, holding on, and controlling. But in reality, there is tremendous power in understanding that peace comes not from control, but from flow. Letting go is a dynamic process. It's about choosing to acknowledge your desires and intentions without being attached to whether they are fulfilled. It's about embracing uncertainty and accepting that life is unpredictable. And in that acceptance, there is freedom. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering lies in our attachments, our clinging to things, ideas, and even our own identities. By practicing non-attachment, we begin to unravel the ties that bind us to stress and disappointment. For example, think about times when plans have fallen apart or when life did not go as you had imagined. Perhaps you missed out on an opportunity, or a relationship ended despite your efforts. Initially, the instinct might be to resist, to question why things didn't turn out as expected. But the teachings of letting go encourage us to sit with that discomfort, to see it for what it is without resisting it or letting it define our happiness. Letting go doesn't mean you won't feel disappointment or grief, but it allows those feelings to arise and pass without becoming trapped in them. In conclusion, embracing this principle means recognizing that holding on to expectations, outcomes, or even past experiences can weigh us down. Instead, by cultivating the mindset of letting go, we make space for peace, flexibility, and resilience. This wisdom, embedded in centuries of Buddhist teachings and expressed so simply by modern teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, is an invitation to release the burden of control and discover the profound ease that comes from surrendering to life as it is. The benefits of letting go. When we embrace the practice of letting go, the benefits are transformative. Imagine living a life where your sense of peace isn't tied to every outcome, where you can approach each situation with an open heart and without the suffocating grip of control. The first and most profound benefit of letting go is the sense of inner peace and freedom it brings. This is a peace that doesn't waver with the tides of external circumstances. When you stop clinging to specific outcomes, you open yourself up to experiencing life fully, without the constant background noise of anxiety or fear. Let's take a moment to think about this on a practical level. When we expect everything to unfold according to our plans, we create a rigid framework for our happiness. If even the smallest piece falls out of place, we're left feeling frustrated, disappointed, or even resentful. However, when we let go of that mental rigidity and allow ourselves to accept reality as it is, resistance melts away. We begin to understand that harmony comes not from fighting against what is, but from flowing with it. Consider what happens when we try to resist reality. The constant internal battle creates tension and stress. The teachings of Buddhism emphasize that the root of suffering lies in this resistance. By letting go, we shift from a mindset of struggle to one of acceptance, and in that acceptance, we find serenity. This idea isn't just rooted in ancient teachings, modern research supports it as well. Studies in mindfulness and mental health show that individuals who practice non-attachment and mindfulness experience significantly lower levels of stress and anxiety. Mindfulness helps cultivate an awareness of the present moment, allowing people to observe their thoughts and feelings without judgment or clinging to them. Experts in psychology have found that letting go can lead to profound improvements in overall well-being. For instance, Dr. Kristin Neff, a pioneering researcher on self-compassion, notes that accepting ourselves and our circumstances without harsh self-criticism creates space for emotional healing and resilience. Similarly, studies published in journals on mental health have highlighted that mindfulness practices, which inherently involve letting go of obsessive control, contribute to better mental health, reduce stress, and even greater job satisfaction. To illustrate this, let's take the example of someone overwhelmed at work. Imagine a professional who constantly pushes themselves to meet every deadline with absolute perfection. The stress of striving for flawless results every time creates a burden that chips away at their happiness and health. But when they begin to practice letting go of the need for perfection, accepting that doing their best is enough, they start to notice a shift. There is less pressure, fewer late nights driven by anxiety, and an increased sense of balance. They perform their work with more ease and find that, paradoxically, their results often improve because they are not strangled by the fear of failure. This kind of release isn't about giving up, it's about gaining perspective and understanding that true well-being doesn't come from holding everything together with ironclad control but from adapting and moving with life's natural flow. Letting go also brings about a new level of self-trust. When you release the need to control every detail, you learn to trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. This trust fosters confidence and resilience. You begin to see challenges not as threats to your happiness but as opportunities to grow and adapt. The freedom that comes from letting go is empowering because it shifts your focus from trying to manipulate outcomes to simply being present and engaged with what life brings. The Buddhist principle of impermanence reminds us that everything changes. By accepting this truth and releasing our hold on fixed expectations, we align ourselves with reality, and life feels lighter and more fluid. The harmony we achieve through letting go extends beyond our internal world. It impacts our relationships as well. When we stop trying to control how others think, behave, or react, we create space for more authentic and fulfilling connections. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop trying to impose your will on others. This shift allows for greater empathy, understanding, and compassion, leading to healthier, more genuine relationships. Ultimately, letting go teaches us that we are not defined by our circumstances but by how we respond to them. This practice gives us the freedom to find joy in the present, without the weight of what could be or should have been. As we let go, we make room for a kind of contentment that is not swayed by life's ups and downs, a peace that, as Buddhist teachings remind us, already exists within us, waiting to be discovered. Real-life applications of letting go. Now, understanding the principle of letting go is one thing, but applying it to the hustle and challenges of daily life is where true transformation happens. So, how do we bring this ancient wisdom into our everyday routines in a way that feels genuine and impactful? Let's explore some practical tips that can help integrate this powerful concept seamlessly into your life. First, we begin with mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is at the heart of Buddhist philosophy and is one of the most effective ways to start letting go. Picture this: you set aside just 5 minutes a day to pause and observe your thoughts and emotions as they come and go. You're not trying to change them, chase them away, or even indulge them, you simply notice them. It could be as simple as sitting in a quiet spot, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath. Each time a thought or emotion rises, you acknowledge it, perhaps labeling it gently as thinking or feeling, and then let it drift by like a leaf on a stream. This practice teaches us that we don't have to hold on to every thought or emotion. We learn to let them pass without clinging, making room for peace to settle in the spaces they leave behind. Next, there's an exercise in acceptance that anyone can do. Throughout your day, when you feel a wave of emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, disappointment, or worry, pause for a moment. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath and acknowledge what you're feeling without judgment. Say to yourself, "This is what I'm feeling right now, and that's okay." This simple exercise helps to break the cycle of automatic responses. It reminds you that emotions are like visitors, they come and go. You don't need to act on every single one, and you certainly don't need to fight them. Now, let's make this even more relatable with a scenario that many of us have faced. Imagine missing an important opportunity, whether it's a job you wanted, a relationship that didn't work out, or a goal that slipped through your fingers. In that moment, it's easy to be consumed by regret or self-criticism. But practicing the art of letting go invites a different response. Instead of spiraling into, "What if?" or "I should have done this or that," you take a breath, acknowledge the disappointment, and choose to move forward with grace. You might say to yourself, "This didn't work out the way I hoped, but I am open to what comes next." That shift in perspective transforms the moment from one of suffering to one of acceptance and hope. One of the most powerful illustrations of letting go can be found in the timeless Zen story of two monks traveling together. As they walk, they come across a young woman who is struggling to cross a river. One monk, without hesitation, lifts her and carries her to the other side, setting her down before continuing on his way. Hours later, the other monk, unable to keep his silence, exclaims, "How could you carry that woman? We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk simply replies, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story beautifully captures the essence of letting go, the wisdom of putting down the burdens we no longer need to carry. It shows that it's not just about physically letting go but releasing mental and emotional attachments that keep us stuck in the past. So, how can we channel this wisdom into our own lives? Start by identifying the small, everyday burdens that weigh you down. Maybe it's an argument that replayed in your head all day, or a task at work that didn't go as planned. When you find yourself clinging to these thoughts, ask yourself, can I set this down now? It might not always be easy, and sometimes it takes practice, but the more you commit to it, the lighter you'll begin to feel. Applying these practices, mindfulness, acceptance exercises, and stories like that of the monks, shows that letting go isn't a one-time act but a daily practice. It's woven into how we approach life's challenges, big and small. Each moment you choose to let go, you reclaim a piece of your peace, opening up space for gratitude, clarity, and the freedom to live without the constraints of unnecessary suffering. The role of compassion and simplicity. An essential element that supports the practice of letting go is compassion. Not just compassion directed outward toward others, but compassion that you turn inward, toward yourself. When we practice self-compassion, we open the door to true acceptance, making it easier to let go of our mistakes, our perceived failures, and the countless little judgments we carry. Think about it, how often do we hold on to guilt or regret because we refuse to forgive ourselves? Compassion invites us to acknowledge our humanity, that we're all imperfect, learning, and growing. When you show yourself kindness in moments of struggle, you build a bridge between suffering and freedom. You give yourself the permission to say, it's okay. I did my best with what I knew at the time, and now I can move forward. Compassion also extends outward. The act of letting go becomes more natural when we approach life and those around us with empathy. Let's say someone has wronged you, and you're holding on to that resentment. It weighs you down, clouding your thoughts and heart. Practicing compassion helps you see the bigger picture, that the other person, like you, is also dealing with their own challenges and limitations. This understanding doesn't mean justifying harmful actions but recognizing shared humanity. With this awareness, you can choose to release the grip of resentment and free yourself from its hold. Now, let's look at the role of simplicity. Simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about making space for what truly matters by clearing out what doesn't. In the teachings of the Buddha, there's a profound understanding that clinging to desires, possessions, or the idea of always needing more leads to suffering. By simplifying our desires and expectations, we reduce the inner noise that keeps us from feeling peaceful. The modern world constantly pushes us toward more success, more achievements, more possessions. But with simplicity, we learn to discern between what enriches our lives and what simply fills it with clutter. There's a story from Buddhist teachings that embodies this perfectly. A wealthy merchant once came to a revered monk, boasting about his riches and the countless treasures he had amassed. The monk smiled and pointed to the simple, serene garden around them. He said, "The richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least." This story illustrates that true happiness and peace come not from accumulating but from understanding when we have enough, when we are enough. Simplicity gives us that clarity. It shifts our focus from external pursuits to internal contentment, reminding us that happiness is less about what we hold in our hands and more about what we hold in our hearts. Think about your own life for a moment. What are the things you're holding on to because you feel they define you or provide security? Is it the need for validation at work? Is it the expectation that others should act a certain way for you to feel happy? When we practice letting go of these complex, layered desires and return to simplicity, we find an incredible sense of ease. The less we demand from life, the more we can appreciate what's already here. Simplicity and compassion go hand in hand, creating a powerful support system for letting go. With compassion, we understand ourselves and others better, making it easier to release anger, guilt, or disappointment. With simplicity, we learn to let go of excess, whether it's the extra possessions that clutter our homes or the unrealistic expectations that clutter our minds. Together, these practices weave a path toward clarity and peace. To truly integrate this into your life, start by observing moments when you feel stressed or overwhelmed. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now? Then, with compassion, reassure yourself that it's okay to let go, that it's okay not to meet every expectation. Embrace simplicity by choosing to release what isn't essential, whether that's a physical object or a thought that no longer serves you. In the end, the journey to letting go is deeply tied to how we treat ourselves and how we simplify our approach to life. The less we carry in terms of expectations, resentment, and attachment, the lighter our path becomes. By nurturing compassion and embracing simplicity, we open ourselves to a life that's not only less burdened but also filled with profound joy and contentment. The practice of non-resistance. When we delve into the Buddhist concept of non-resistance, we're talking about a fundamental shift in how we approach the experiences and challenges of life. Non-resistance is the practice of accepting reality as it is, without waging an internal battle against it. It doesn't mean passivity or giving up, but rather acknowledging what is, without letting our minds amplify it into a source of ongoing suffering. In essence, non-resistance teaches us to flow with life, instead of constantly struggling against it. Why is this so crucial? Well, think about the times in your life when something happened that you wished were different. Maybe it was a setback in your career, an argument with someone you care about, or even something as small as a change in plans that didn't go your way. The discomfort you felt didn't come solely from the event itself, but from the resistance your mind created around it, the "this shouldn't have happened" thoughts, the "why me" questions, the frustration and anger at the circumstances. That resistance fuels suffering because it pits your inner world against the outer world, creating a chasm of discontent. In Buddhist teachings, there's a profound understanding that life is inherently impermanent and full of change. The practice of non-resistance, therefore, becomes essential when we confront this truth. Instead of resisting the flow of life, we learn to move with it. Embracing change is not just an abstract ideal, it's a day-to-day practice that involves recognizing and accepting the transitory nature of all things. The Buddha's words remind us that clinging to what we want, while pushing away what we don't want, traps us in a cycle of suffering. But by practicing non-resistance, we step out of that cycle and into a state of peace. Consider this: when you face uncertainty, how do you typically react? The instinct is often to tense up, plan excessively, and try to control every detail. But true growth comes from learning to find comfort in impermanence and uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and when we resist that reality, we create inner turmoil. Embracing change as part of our human experience allows us to meet life's surprises with a sense of openness rather than dread. Let's take an example to illustrate this further. Picture someone who has their life carefully mapped out, every career move, every personal goal set on a timeline. Then, out of nowhere, an unexpected event disrupts these plans. Maybe it's a job loss or an unforeseen responsibility that shifts their path. Initially, the reaction might be panic, anger, and the mental refrain of, "this isn't supposed to happen." But if that person practices non-resistance, they pause and acknowledge, "this is what's happening now. How can I move with it?" That mindset changes everything. Instead of being mired in frustration, they can explore new opportunities, learn new lessons, and grow from the experience. This idea is closely tied to the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness trains us to observe what's happening in the present moment without judgment, allowing us to break free from resistance. When we accept that challenges, setbacks, and changes are part of life's fabric, we free ourselves from the exhausting need to fight against reality. It's not about being passive, it's about being adaptable and finding power in that flexibility. There's a story from Zen teachings that beautifully illustrates this. A farmer's horse ran away, and his neighbor exclaimed, "Such bad luck." The farmer simply replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with 3 wild horses, and the neighbor said, "Such good luck." The farmer again said, "Maybe." Later, the farmer's son broke his leg while trying to tame one of the horses, and the neighbor once more expressed his opinion, "Such bad luck." The farmer, as before, responded with, maybe. A week later, soldiers came to the village to conscript young men into the army but skipped the farmer's son because of his injury. The story shows us that when we resist labeling events as purely good or bad, we maintain a sense of calm and openness to what unfolds next. This is the essence of non-resistance, letting life move as it will without forcing it into the boxes of our expectations. Non-resistance invites us to embrace a broader perspective, one that isn't limited to the immediate ups and downs but looks at the bigger picture of our journey. When we stop fighting reality, we begin to find peace in the midst of change and uncertainty. It's about recognizing that what happens is often out of our control, but how we respond is within our power. And when our response is one of acceptance, we unlock resilience that can carry us through life's toughest moments. So, when life throws the unexpected your way, remind yourself that non-resistance is a tool you can wield. Pause, take a breath, and instead of pushing back against what is, ask yourself, how can I work with this? Remember that growth doesn't happen in the comfort of certainty, it blooms in the soil of change, nurtured by our willingness to adapt and accept. Non-resistance isn't just a concept, it's a practice, a choice you make each day that leads to a deeper, more peaceful way of living. Now that we've explored how letting go and embracing non-resistance can transform our approach to life, I want to leave you with an essential thought. True inner peace doesn't come from trying to control life. It doesn't come from always getting things our way or forcing every situation to unfold according to our plans. In fact, the more we try to control life, the more we seem to invite stress, frustration, and disappointment. It's like trying to hold on to a flowing river with your bare hands. No matter how hard you try, it just slips through your fingers. What truly leads to peace is learning to flow with life, not against it. Think about it, when you stop fighting against what is, when you stop pushing and pulling on every aspect of your reality, that's when you find the quiet, stillness, and contentment that you've been searching for all along. You don't need to make things perfect. You don't need to ensure every detail is under your control. All you need to do is surrender to the moment and trust that whatever is unfolding is exactly as it's meant to be. That's where the magic lies. One of my favorite teachings that echoes this truth comes from the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, who said, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." This is such a powerful statement, and it's a perfect reminder of how tightly we cling to the things that we think we need to be happy, when, in reality, what we need most is to let go. Letting go of expectations, of rigid plans, of the need to control every aspect of our life, this is what leads us to true freedom. Let's take a moment to reflect on what freedom really means in the context of your own life. How many times have you found yourself mentally exhausted from trying to keep everything together, from constantly strategizing the next move, from clinging to outcomes you thought you couldn't live without? When you embrace letting go, you begin to free yourself from this exhausting mental cycle. You stop carrying the weight of expectations and start allowing yourself to simply be. And that's where happiness starts to grow, from a place of ease, of peace, of being fully present in the moment without trying to twist it into something it's not. Freedom, as Thich Nhat Hanh so beautifully articulates, isn't just about external circumstances. It's about internal liberation. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of overthinking, from the chains of perfectionism, from the suffocating grip of worry. The moment you release those things, you create space for joy, for connection, and for peace. True freedom lies in the acceptance of what is, not the resistance to what could have been. And it's in that space of freedom where you'll find lasting happiness. So I encourage you to take this message with you. True peace, true happiness, is born from the act of letting go. It's about trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to, even if it doesn't look like what you expected. When we embrace the present moment with an open heart, when we allow ourselves to release the need for control, we step into a state of freedom. And in that freedom, we find our deepest joy. Remember, letting go is not about giving up, it's about trusting in the flow of life. It's about finding strength in surrender and power in acceptance. So, as you move through your day, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am enough as I am. I don't need to force anything. I don't need to control everything. I can trust in the present moment, and in doing so, I can find the peace I've been seeking all along. Letting go is not a loss, it is the key to everything you've ever wanted. Now that we've explored the profound wisdom of letting go and how it can create real transformation in our lives, it's time to put these teachings into practice. I encourage you to start by committing to a simple, yet powerful daily mindfulness exercise. It's something you can do every day, no matter how busy you are. Set aside just a few minutes, maybe in the morning or before bed, and take a moment to observe your thoughts and emotions. Don't judge them. Don't try to change them. Just observe them as they come and go. As you notice any attachments, any feelings of wanting to control or hold on, simply acknowledge them. Then, gently release them. Imagine them floating away, like leaves in the wind. This simple practice of mindfulness will help you cultivate the awareness needed to let go more easily and bring more peace into your life. I'd love to hear about your journey with this practice. How are you applying the principle of letting go in your own life? What changes have you noticed? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's support each other in this process of growth and transformation. We're all in this together, and by sharing, we can inspire others to embrace these teachings and find their own path to peace. If you found value in today's video, I invite you to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone you think might benefit from the wisdom of Buddhist teachings. The more we spread this message of letting go and accepting life as it is, the more we can create a world of peace, compassion, and freedom for everyone. So don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more insightful videos like this one. Remember, letting go is a journey, not a destination. It's a practice, and every small step you take is a step closer to true freedom. Keep going, keep letting go, and keep trusting in the flow of life. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I truly appreciate you taking the time to dive into these teachings with me. I hope that the ideas we've shared on letting go, finding inner peace, and embracing life as it is have sparked something meaningful in you. Remember, the path of letting go is not always easy, but it is so deeply rewarding. Each moment that you practice releasing attachments, each time you embrace the flow of life without resistance, you are opening yourself up to more peace, freedom, and happiness. As you move forward in your own life, I want to remind you to keep practicing compassion, both towards yourself and others. Compassion is the key that allows us to release the need to control, to stop clinging, and to let go of the heavy burdens we sometimes carry. By nurturing compassion, we soften our hearts, and it's this softness that enables us to practice non-attachment in a healthy, balanced way. Life will always be filled with uncertainties, but with compassion and the practice of letting go, we can navigate it with grace. I wish you peace and joy on your journey. May you find the strength to release what no longer serves you and the courage to trust in life's unfolding. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means making space for something better, something more aligned with who you truly are. So, keep practicing these principles every day. Allow them to guide you towards the life you've always desired, a life full of peace, freedom, and fulfillment. Thank you once again for being here. I hope you continue to apply these teachings in your life, and remember, you are never alone on this journey. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.